Hi, what's up guys? It's Bye here with another Rise of Kingdoms video. As most of you guys already know, I am a big fan of running single troop type for open field. I used to run 5 marches of infantry a lot in my past KvKs. The last KvK I ran 4 march of infantry and 1 march of cavalry because I need to burn some of my stones because I have a lot of them. But before that, I always run 5 infantry marches all the time. So today's question is it still a good idea to go with single troop type in 2021? Um, I will spend quite a lot of time thinking about this. One of the reasons why I did the testing for the 5% skill damage increase city skin like last week, because I was thinking of going to mixed troop. I just don't randomly doing some testing for no purpose, right? I did it because I was actually thinking of like switching to running mixed marches. I thought that because I think that the skill damage city skin can work well if you run mixed troop. So yes, I had a change of heart. I'm sorry, infantry gang. I actually had a second thought on being a pure infantry player. So I've been thinking about it for more than a week already. Just an FYI. So first let's go and look at some of the benefit for using a single troop type. Okay. Uh, so the first benefit for using single tube type is that where is my research center? Okay. So the first benefit for using single tube type is for early game or for Season of Conquest KvK, you can just focus in one tube type for research. So if you just start the game, you can just focusing to like unlock your infantry. Let's say if you're an infantry focused player, well, you don't have to unlock a lot of other skill. You can get your infantry to very high, I would say, right? Research. Same go with Season of Conquest KvK as well, right? In Season of Conquest KvK, you got a brand new crystal research. And if you just focusing in one single troop type only, you got to be able to get a pretty high stat boost there. If you just focusing on in one instead of focusing in multiple troop type. So that is the benefit number one. The benefit number two is the city skin, right? So if you know in Rise of Kingdom, city skin can only boost one troop type stats, right? There is a city skin that can boost everything, but it comes with a cost. But most of the city skin come with only single troop type stat boost. For example, this one, infantry attack plus 5%, and it also comes with a negative effect as well, which is archer health minus 5%, right? Same goal here for a lot of like most of the city skin, right? So for example, if I am running all of my 5 marches infantry, I'm gonna be able to get that all of my 5 marches going to get that 5% infantry health. And let's say if I'm gonna run mixed troop and one of my marches is going to be cavalry, right? So that march is not going to get the benefit from 5% health increase. Instead, it's gonna get that minus 5% health right there. So it's not. So city skin is another reason for like you should be going for single tube type, right? Because the stat boost and the negative stat effect as well. And season number 3 is going to be your civilization, right? So each civilization coming with special unit. So for Viking, I have a special unit which is Berserker. And I also have a stat boost increase for a specific troop type as well. So Viking, I got infantry attack increased by 5%. Counter attack damage by 3% for all troop type. So civilization is another reason here, right? You got infantry attack plus 5% and the special unit. And the special units kind of so let's if you look at Viking special unit, you gain about like 5 more percent defense and 5 more percent health, which can convert to about 6 or 7% stat increase, right? So for example, right here you see that I am at 192 plus 107, right? If I am going to use a 5% health increase for infantry, I'm going to see like a 117 or something here. Right. So now I'm seeing 192 plus 117 here instead of 192 plus 107. So there is about like a 10 more health right there for my infantry. So the special unit for your civilization offer you kind of like an actual 5 to 6 or 7% more stats increase. So that is another benefit of using a single tube type. And I think the last one, actually number 4, is going to be equipments. So if you are going to run all of your 5 marches using a single tube type, you gotta be crafting one single type of equipment, right? And with the existing forging equipment, you gain the increase in probability of getting special talent. Right, so for equipment, right, you can get special talent, right? So these are the special talent right here. This one doesn't have special talent. This one has special talent, right? So when you're running 5 single tube type marches, you can recrafting the same equipment over and over, and you're gonna have a much higher chance of getting special talent on your equipment, especially when it comes down to like crafting legendary. If you are going to recrafting the same equipment for your same single tube type, you're gonna have a higher chance of getting special talent. But that is for the existing forging equipment. With the new update, it might not work anymore. Another thing about the equipment is that if you are going to run 5 single tube type units, you gotta be able to switch your equipments among your commanders, right? Or if there are new commanders coming out and you want to get that commanders, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to transition from equipment to that commander. Let's say if I am running 5 infantry commanders right now, 5 infantry marches right now, and if there are going to be a new legendary infantry commanders coming out and I want to get the commanders, I can just move the equipment, infantry equipment, from my 5 current marches to the next one, right? And I don't have to worry, right? Because they are the same. So I would say those are like the biggest 4 benefits from using single tube type. Let me know if I am missing out anything in the comment section. With all these benefits, right, I would say you are looking at about 15 to 40% more stat increase, depend on how long you've been playing the game and how good your equipment are, right? Me, for example, I would say when I am running infantry marches only, my marches are getting around 25% stat boost increase, right? From city skin, civilization stat boost, my equipment, and with my research for Scene of Conquest KvK, because I only focusing on researching on infantry. So I would say about 25% or even 30% stat boost increase. So why do I start to think it might not be a good idea to run single tube type anymore? What's up with the change of heart? Well, the problem lay in the difference in commander open field fighting power. As some of you guys know, where is it again here? As some of you guys know, I have a commander score system for open field for like infantry commanders and cavalry commanders. I do not have a commander score yet for archer because I haven't spent a lot of time looking at those commanders. Um, so like I gave commander score. Oh, give me 1 second here. So I get commander score based on a certain rule, right? So for example, here this is the rules that I gave the commander score based on. So for defense, you get 1 point for 10% health, 10% defense, 5% damage reduction, every 500 damage factor for shield or heal, 10% attack reduction, every 2 seconds of silence. For attack, you get 1 point for 10% attack boost, 500 damage to single target, 200 AoE damage. 10% normal attack damage, 10% counter attack damage, 10% skill damage, 5% damage increase, 20% march speed increase is for mobility, 10% troop capacity, and 200 ratio, right? So that is how I gave the score to my commanders. Like all the commander here is getting the same set of score based on a set of rules, right? I do not change the rules for each commander. So you can see right here, right? Each commander come with like the score for support, defense, attack, right? So this is my commander score system for open field. So based on my commander score system, it shows that it's actually a good idea to just get all the best possible commander for open field, even if they cannot utilize your civilization or city skin, right? For me, maybe, right? So for me, right now, let's say if I am going to run, let's say if I'm going to run my Leo and Constantine as one of my marches. So Leo have a score of 12. Constantine have a score of 13.5. So if I'm running a march with the two commanders, I'm going to have a pair with a commander scores of 25.5. And with that actual 25% stat boost, right, I am looking at about 27.5 score for open field for Constantine and Leo here with the actual stat boost. And if I'm, let's say, if I don't want to run infantry anymore, if I'm going to run with cavalry, and let's say if I can afford to run a theater, for example, right? If you're looking at the score for open field for a theater, right, and if you combine the two score right here, you got a 16.5 plus 13.5. That is a 30 points for open field, right? Comparing to my Constantine and Leo, which is only 25.5, and even with the stat boost, which is give me 3 extra points, I am at 28. My Constantine and Leo still cannot perform as well as a theater, right? Or if you're looking at some other commander pairing as well for cavalry, for example, for Sangju and William, Sangju and William also can get to 29.5 and could possibly get higher depending on how many stack of damage you can get on Sangju, right? So for me, maybe as of right now, it might not be the best idea to run 5 infantry marches. Because even with the actual stat boost from civilization, city skin, 1 or 2 of my infantry pair still cannot perform as good as some of the top tier open field pair for other troop type. For example, right now is Sangju William can definitely outperform my Constantine Leo. Theater can definitely still outperform my Constantine Leo as well. Or if I'm running it like Constantine and Joan of Arc, right? The pair, they are still gonna outperform my Constantine pair. So that is something I feel like I need to let you guys know. So but what if the next release of infantry commanders, we are going to get 2 new one with combined score of 30 or higher, right? Now, if I am like investing heavily on my theater marches, for example, or my Sangju and William marches, for example, and now with the new infantry commanders come out, right, my open field score might be higher. Now I might think of like, oh, maybe now I need to switch back to my infantry. But now it's gonna be difficult for me to switch back from cavalry, like take out my theater equipment to put back on my infantry, because a theater equipment is cavalry equipment, right? It's not gonna be very, very good on my infantry. Now it's gonna be very, very hard for me to transition from using a theater to a new pair of infantry commander. So that is the downside. That is the downside of like, hey, if you're going to running mixed commander pairing. So that is something you might have to consider, right? So I would say definitely, like I would say definitely the equipment switching, the transition to equipment is probably one of the biggest issue for me when I thinking of like, hey, if I should be running mixed marches or not. I still like the philosophy behind the idea of using single tube type. It makes sense for me as a free-to-play / low spender player. Where I want to take advantages of the actual stat boost. I want to play smart, right? But right, the commanders being released is definitely not helping me out here because of the big difference. The big difference in terms of like commander firing power for like a lot of commander here. For example, right, if you like a cavalry players, right? It doesn't make sense for you to running Han and Chow Chow. because their score only a 20 for open field. Why would like I would definitely if I am a KvK players, I would definitely remove this match this pair right here, Cannon Chow Chow, and I will definitely replacing them with my Grand Alex, right? Because Grand Alex score for open field is very high, right? And I think that is one of the reasons why you see a lot of people using Grand Alex. Doesn't matter what tube ties they are using because their score for open field is very high, and because of the difference in terms of like firing power on the open field for a lot of commanders, right? It's like a huge gap, right? Even for infantry itself, right? Grand is at 18 and Leo is at 12, right? It's like a 6 point difference right there. And it's almost like Grand is almost like I would say 6 point is like 30% or 40% stronger than Leo here when it comes to open field firing. So that is one of the reasons why it might affecting some people choice of like, hey, should you be sticking with a single tube type or should you not? So for me, like again, as I mentioned, I still like the philosophy behind the idea of using single tube type. Even though my Constantine and Leo, for example, my pair Constantine Leo at 25.5 and plus the 3 points from actual stat boost, I might not be able to perform as well as the KvK commanders pair like a KvK. I still like it, but I still like the idea of being a single tube type, and that is it for me. And I think in the long run, for the future commander being released, and if there are like stronger infantry commanders coming out, I can replace the pair, and it's gonna be a lot easier for me to transition from using infantry to infantry here for me. Well, that is at least for me. Uh, like so today, right? So after Zit talk here, right? After Zit talk here, uh, go back here. Uh, so like after Zit talk, like you are here because you want you want me to give you an answer for is it still good to stay at single tube type. To be complete honest with you guys, right? I still think it's a very good to stay at single tube type for the early stage of the game when you just first started the game. It's gonna give you a very good head start right there. Uh, but I would say as you progress further into the game, and you can see the list of commanders that are top tier on the open field. Um, it's not a bad idea. It's actually a good idea for you to focus on investing into those commanders. So like you want to be like I would say you want to like prioritize the commanders with a very high score first. For example, if you go back to that list again for the commanders, well, I would definitely prioritize maxing the commander at the top of the list here for infantry, which is Juan and Alex. Hero is probably another choice. Uh, a Telelocator is a good pair as well, or Sangju and William. Right, I think Sangju and William can do really well. If you can have access to these commander early, you probably want to work on them right before you going down the list here for like other commanders. You can go into that direction, right? It's viable. I would say it is viable in 2021 for you to go with mixed marches. Right? You don't have to stay at single tube type. But there are benefit for staying at single tube type, as I mentioned. As for myself, I am still gonna stick with being infantry player. Because as I mentioned, I love the philosophy behind that idea, right? Being able to optimize on all the benefits that your civilization, your special unit, your city skin can offer, especially when it comes to new season of Conquest KvK. I can just focus on just a single tube type. It just make a lot more sense for me, even though right in the other hands, getting some of the list commanders, right? I think running with like mixed tube tie might work better for like big spender, right? Because they can afford to max out the commander much faster. They can have access to all the list commander, I would say. Um, but yeah, like to conclude in the topic, Well, I definitely think that um, single tube type might not work as well in 2021, right? Comparing to if you want to run it with mixed tube, but you had to get all the best top tier open field commander for fighting, right? Otherwise, right, I still think it is viable. It is viable to stay with single tube type still, especially if you're like an infantry focused player, right? I think infantry have a lot of strong open field commanders. You can still do really well with infantry commanders. Might not be the best idea if you like a cavalry player, right? If you like a cavalry players, you might consider going with mixed troop here. You definitely want to leave out your Minamoto, your Chow Chow, and your Han because they don't do very well on the open field. You might consider going with some of the infantry commander as well. It's gonna help you tremendously on the open field, guys. Anyway, guys, I hope you find this video helpful. Thanks for watching, guys.